Hey everybody, it's Paul with reporting live from my sofa, and how are you doing? It is a rainy Saturday, and I'm sitting outside because the roof is so loud when it rains inside, we can't hear anything. So excuse the rain if you hear it in the background. As you see, it is a nice dreary day, but we are making the best of it, and we are going to be continuing our conversation today on Jennifer Dulos' missing persons case. And this is actually taking a little bit of a left field here. And as you saw from the title of the article, I found this article on Michelle Troconis' mother. And I thought that this was interesting for no other reason than it was interesting. And also because I've lived in South Florida, and Medicaid fraud is huge down there. You see it all the time. And so when I saw this, I was like, oh, interesting. You know, and this is, I mean, if y'all haven't watched documentaries or researched a little bit into Medicaid, fraud, definitely worth looking into, because you'll start seeing like, oh my gosh, like this goes on all the time, y'all. And so I was like, wow, really interesting. And this was not that long ago. So I just kind of want to review that article or whatever. So now I am going to butcher her name. So we might just have to call her Michelle's mom. But Arizia, I don't know. Let's call her Michelle's mom. So, but back in Florida, Michelle's mom faced her own trouble with the law in 2016. Michelle's mom and another woman were indicted on federal Medicaid fraud charges. She was accused of paying at least one person to become a Medicaid patient in her behavioral health practice, D&D Psych. The practice provided behavioral health counseling to children and adults in Miami-Dade County. Now, I don't know what behavioral health counseling is, but the fact that all this went down, and as we get into this, you'll see how quickly they shut it down and everything. I'm just like, is that a real thing? Is it something that's easy to commit fraud under? So if any of y'all are in this field or know, I would love to know, like, if you're like, oh yeah, that, people do it all the time under this, you know, or whatever, or not. So just let me know. Drop it like it's hot in those comments, y'all. Let's continue. According to federal documents, Michelle's mother and the co-defendant paid the person more than $19,000 in 2012 and 13 so the practice could receive Medicaid payments. Court filings indicate that federal agents believe the practice was offering rides to counseling sessions to potential clients, with the drivers providing a kickback to anyone who agreed to receive Medicaid benefits. So now you see that whole little cumbersome thing right there. Now, one thing I watched that went on down there at one point was people were basically, it was some kind of chiropractic thing. And they were basically getting children to come in and giving them candy and all sorts of stuff and registering them as patients. Most of the time, not even seeing them, just having the kids come in and do something. And I mean, it was bad. And who knows how much money they bilked out of Medicaid. But I just want to go over this one more time. The practice, so they paid these people so the practice could receive Medicaid payments. Court filings indicate that they believe the practice was offering rides to counseling sessions. So they're offering people rides to counseling sessions to potential clients, with the drivers providing a kickback to anyone who agreed to receive Medicaid benefits. So it sounds like they were probably padding the pockets of the drivers as well as these people coming in to get the benefits. So I mean, this is this is a lot of money you're talking about. Michelle's mom closed the practice after being indicted and turned the office into a space for her legal team working on her defense, court papers said. Federal authorities accused her mother of paying D&D employees to work on her defense so they couldn't be interviewed by federal agents. Very smart, but very shady. Her mother's attorney then sought to suppress evidence later gathered at the space, since it was then considered a law office dedicated to her defense, court paper said. Okay, y'all, so this is the level of shade we're operating with. This is somebody who has the money to work the system and is working the system. So, I mean, that's really slippery right there. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, again, this is somebody who can go up against something. So, this all tells me right here, oh, these people knew they were doing something wrong. Knew it. Okay, let's keep going. The mother lives in Miami Beach, Florida. The co-defendant agreed to plead guilty in 2017 to offering healthcare kickbacks. The case was dismissed last December after the mother and the co-defendant were approved for a pre-trial diversion program. So a lot of times, like in Florida, they have this thing where if you've never offended or done anything like that, it's this pre-trial program you can go through and essentially get the charges dropped or whatever. But it's this thing you have to go through. They didn't say what program it was, but I mean I'm assuming it's that. So well, hold on. Let's see. So I mean that's kind of all that there is. This article then goes into more stuff about the daughter, the current Michelle Troconis' issues. So I mean here's my thing. With this information about that kind of slippery stuff, I'm just like, okay, if first of all, there's this Medicaid fraud going on, and again, there was never a conviction in court. I mean, you can pretty much assume that some shady stuff was going on if they went through all this to hide information and stuff like that. But I mean, I guess questions that I have is like, well, did Michelle know about that, and does that make a difference in the current standings? No, but I guess the conversation that it brings up for me is entitlement, and a lot of times when you see stuff like this, it's like the level of entitlement. First of all, to rip off Medicaid. Secondly, no, I mean, let's just be honest. This woman had the means to try and protect everything. Most people are probably going to do that. If they've already arrived to the place of they're doing this, well, of course they're going to do whatever they can to stay out of trouble. I mean, that's a given. So is it that shocking? No, but it is like, wow, they went to all that. So how much money did they bilk out of the system? We'll never know. And one of the things in the different documentaries that I've watched on Medicaid fraud is that they're like, we really don't know how much. It's like that intense of that's how much it's ripped off. So that's the part that I just find to be really, really, eye-opening. So for this, it's like, well, did Michelle know about that? Did she, was she privy to this information? We'll never know. And maybe later down the road. But if it's like, well, that's her mother pulling that, and she says she's privy to it. Now, all this is allegedly. Well, it just kind of shows, like, I mean, okay, maybe she didn't see much wrong with trying to help cover up the crime. That type of thing. Like, well, I had the money to get away with it. Mom did. You see where I'm going with that? And again, this is all speculation on my part. I'm just, but these are just kind of where my thoughts are going. So I'm just curious to see what y'all think. So again, anyways, I hope that was food for thought there. Let me know what y'all think. Drop it like it's hot in those comment sections, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.